Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul, and we also have Ryan with us today.
Hi.
He's going to be listening to some of this, and we're going to do a deep dive into these kits here. The 64 Dodge race cars here, the super stocks, and we'll share some facts. So Ryan gets to hear some facts. You looking forward to it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And this is one that's always confused me as far as the actual cars and what's correct in the kits or not. But with a lot of help from this book right here, I read this book, Maximum Performance. This is covering all the Mopar super stocks from 62 to 69.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and some of the other racers as well. So not only does it get into the time period, what Chrysler was doing, and how they were setting up the cars and what was factory optional or not. And of course, the racers modified them and did their own things. So that's why we got into these. Now, for those of you guys, a lot of these have been reissued. Some recently, some not so recently. But these are all pretty much the original issues from 1996, 96, and 97. I believe that was the first one. So, and then this is Johan from the 80s. Matter of fact, I bought that new. I rode my bicycle to the hobby store and bought it. So that's probably the oldest kit I have in my collection that I personally bought and have held on to this whole time and never really built it. I've kind of started it. I'll show you more of that here in a little bit.
Nice.
But this one, I always thought it was kind of funny. I wanted to build this Ram Chargers car with this kit because I've seen pictures of this. But this one's recharged. But this is a 64 Dodge 440 hardtop, which is this roof right here. And learning and reading about this car, there's a lot of things kind of interesting about this that are not really factory, but we're talking about racers here. Same thing with some of these cars as well. So this one being the Color Me Gone, this was the first issue. And here's an error on this one. Look at this, Ryan. 64 Dodge 330 Super Sport.
Get me into kickball, please.
Yeah, well, this is wrong because they're actually super stock. Now, they fixed the box. You see that one? It says super stock.
Oh.
So they fixed that.
I like Sport.
Yeah, but Super Sport is kind of like, you know, Mommy's car. It looks like a Chevy. The Super Sports were Chevys.
Nintendo 64.
So that's these. But this one actually has the Max Wedge engine in it.
How?
It's a 426 Max Wedge, which was the last of that, and then the Hemi came out. So this one has the Max Wedge. These two have the Hemis. Also, some of the things that are interesting about these cars, after reading this book here, and getting a better understanding of what was available and what wasn't. This hood scoop was only on the lightweight packages, the aluminum front end cars. Some of them had aluminum doors as well. I believe 64 had the aluminum doors. But this flat hood scoop, that's a Hemi car. No headlights in the center grille, has 2 headlights instead of 4. That was 426 Hemi. So this would be 426 Hemi, this would be 426 Hemi. But this hood scoop is Max Wedge. That's a Hemi scoop. This one having the 4 headlights, that's a factory Max Wedge. But only the lightweight cars were the sedans. These are Dodge 330s, and they're sedans. This is a Dodge 440 hardtop. So some of those things keeping in mind, that would be from the factory. Another thing that gives away a factory lightweight car is the red interiors. All the factory lightweight cars had red interiors, regardless of the exterior colors. You could order different exterior colors. But basically, when you ordered it, you pretty much got it white, and your only option was automatic or manual transmission and whatever engine was available. The factory lightweights also were only available when it came to the Max Wedge. The Max Wedge engine had 2 compression ratios, 11:1 and 13.5:1. Only the 13.5:1s were available at the lightweight package. Those were the ones that were the pure race cars. So that's how, you know, these are set up. So it's kind of interesting, and we'll get into more of what's correct in the kits. But then again, like this one, The lightweight package, I believe, was available to racers that already had cars, but they didn't come from Chrysler as the whole car was built. So you could add the parts later. And this kit is a Hemi car, but the lightweight package that's visible on here would not have been the Hemi car. It would have been a wedge car. But you can get a 13-to-1 wedge or 11-to-1 wedge in this thing, in the Dodge 440, a hardtop, but it wasn't a factory lightweight car. They did not offer it as a lightweight.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing, but as far as what came from Chrysler. Anyways, we'll pause here and I'll start breaking into the specific kits on exactly what's in each one. All right, so we'll take a quick look into this one. This is the Johan version here, and you can see the parts on the side. Just kind of a quick glimpse of all this stuff. So, like I had mentioned, I had my paper out back in the 80s, this would be 86, 87, 88. I think 87, 88, 89, somewhere right around there. But I actually rode my bicycle, and I bought this one and a couple of different trips. But I bought this one, and I also bought the two Sox and Martin, the Cuda and Sox and Martin Superbird, which, I'll throw them up there. So this one is one of them as well that I bought. And this one, all three of them, I got intimidated, and it was beyond my skill level at the time. So I ended up just kind of tossing them in the box and never really building them. Some of them had some issues, like this one's got some scratches in it. How they got there over the years or whatever. But here's the simple chassis with the molded in exhaust and everything, which, it isn't really correct for the car. There's the interior tub with no back seat, and then the glass. And then I got all the parts. I got the headers here. I did do some gluing on some of the stuff a long time ago. Here's the engine, started to assemble it. Maybe not the best job, but we'll be working on it. We got Pikachu visiting here.
Yep.
Matter of fact, the glue is actually letting go or splitting, so may have to work on this. Bucket seats, which were kind of part of the lightweight package. Here's the wedge hood scoop. There's the wheels. The bumpers I had re-chromed after years of bouncing around in the box and getting scratched up. Don't remember if the wheels were actually re-chromed, but the bumpers were. And then there's the windows, the back seat, all the typical stuff for Johan. It's all in here. So, somewhat easy build, but this one, just haven't touched it. Oh, and the decals, I should have them right here. Yeah. They don't give you the red stripes, just the recharged. And they're kind of poorly printed. But there they are. So you got the STP, blue, pure. So, but I never really wanted to use these particular decals. And then painting the stripes on back then intimidated me. Not so much now, but back then.
Okay.
So, we'll put this one back and move on to the newer Lindberg ones.
Nice. Yay.
All right, well, here is the Color Me Gone version from Lindberg. This is the one with the 426 Max Wedge, and I'm just kind of showing both here for the box arts.
Nice.
This one, as I mentioned, says Super Sport on it, and this one says Super Stock. This is an error. Does it do any value? Does it increase the value? I don't think so. It's kind of a neat little thing just to see or talk about. But the rest of it is, the same as far as the boxes go. Both are copyright 1996. And this is back when Lindberg owned, they were their own company. So, authentic scale model, 8 inches in length, skill level 2. This talks about the 114 parts in it. Shows you the Ram Charger 426, which was the Dodge name of this engine. The Plymouth was Super Stock 426. But this is the Max Wedge. And you can see headers in this particular one. More pictures. Here's Color Me Gone. Same information. the team of Dick Branster and Roger Lindemood responsible for this, and driver Roger Lindemood. Now this is where it shows Lindberg. It shows this Chrysler logo on it, and then Made in USA, copyright 1996, Crest House Corp. But this was, when Lindberg. Later issues were issued in this was 1996. They were reissued again under the Lindberg name, but different ownership in 2006, 2007. Box art's a little bit different as far as the shading up here. I'll throw that up. And then the logo, and then of course, didn't have the Chrysler logo anymore on them. They had the Dodge 2 Red copyright logos, permission from Dodge. That was on all the other ones, but if you got the black and white lettering on the box, that's the first issues. As far as that goes, one of the things that I've been running into with these, and was an issue, was the first thing I looked at when I started buying these kits was the glass.
Wow.
Yeah. One of these kits I'll show it to you, but this one isn't right on the top. But windshields were commonly broken. So that's why there's no windshield in this particular one. There's the back window, there's the side windows, and then the 4 headlights. Here's the drag tires.
Oh, cool.
The 2 front drag tires. Yep.
They put them in separate bags?
Well, I think I bagged those just to keep them from getting damaged. Here's some rear rims. Then this only has the 4 headlight grille. Then you've got the dash, mirror, the air cleaners right here, the stock air cleaners, carburetors. That's the back of the alternator. The tail lights. Here's a gauge pod, coil, emblem. Looks like a spinner, but that's an emblem. So, and front and rear bumpers. Here's the instructions. Instructions say Super Sport as well. Here's all the Color Me Gone decals. These ones are somewhat yellowed, but maybe fine. I got 3 sets of them and only plan to build one of them stock. That's funny, this one's got the price $15. Now, when these came out, I was not into the modeling at the time in 96. So I missed these. I bought all of these secondhand after the fact. So let's dip into the body. Here's the unbroken windshield. So, and what happened for me was I went to, when these were re-released in 2006, 2007 by, I think it was J. Lloyd, which I'll kind of show a picture of their logo. And I asked them if I can get at least 3 windshields, because at the time I had 3 broken ones from previous issues. And I remember the emails coming back saying that they were not responsible for the older issues, because that was before they owned them. But they were willing to sell them to me, and I ended up buying them. And I had no problem with that, which, that is true. They didn't necessarily have to do that because they didn't do the early kits that these are, even though they owned the intellectual property at that time. But kind of an interesting body. Kind of weird to think that I hadn't built any of these. But anyway, so seen some nice builds of them. But most of these I actually bought for parts. But there's the 330 body, the emblem back here, tail panel.
Nice.
Put the glass back inside it. And we'll start dipping into all of these trees.
Cool. Yay. Let's go.
There's the Max Wedge hood, the cross ram intake, oil pan, hood hinges. And we got, not 100% sure what some of these parts are. Oh, that's the steering rods. That go to your front suspension. Might be roll bar. This is roll bar. We got air cleaners, armrests. Looks like drive shaft loop, drive shaft, distributor, fan belts. There's the 4th armrest. Kind of weird how they laid that out. Oil filter and oil pump. So there's that one. Here we've got the headers, rear seat, and then the radiator support. So these are not the stock max wedge manifolds, but what the racers used or put on them. Kind of weird that this is, I don't know if that's broken or not, but one of the, it's here somewhere. Some of the stuff got squished and bounced around. Not a whole lot of capacity in these boxes, which I'm sure is why the windshields were broken. Here's the rear tail panel, more of the roll cage, the dash, wheel backs, some of the wheel parts here. So move that over. Here's the engine with the max wedge heads, the front cover, radiator hoses, the wheel backs themselves, and the steering wheel. And then we got the firewall, plain steel rear wheels.
Of course, the plain steel wheel.
The radiator, master cylinder, rear springs, the front suspension K-member with all the steering. Here's a rear end, which looks like it's a Dana rear end, which I don't believe that was available in 64, but that's what's on here. Shocks, the front sway bar, which, you know, most racers would have removed that, but may have been there from the factory. Here's the hood falling off, front seat. Got the holes.
The hood is falling off?
Off of this tree, yep. And then you can cut the hole for the scoops or for the air to go through. And we've got the interior, the bottom plate and the door panels. And then the last piece here is the chassis. So pretty simple, but nice detailed chassis. Should work pretty well. So, and it's kind of like a puzzle the way some of this stuff fits in here, because it's a tight fit. So as I found out, get this in here. These are just pieces of sprue that fell off. And this goes like this. And then this body tucks into the side like that. So there's the geometry, getting it all back in there. So quite interesting, but a couple of different boxes. So, you know, like I showed you these two. And we've got this box art right here, which is the J.L. Lloyd one, which went with the shading as well. And then it was more recently re-released as the AMT. Haven't seen the contents on that. I don't believe it's any different, other than maybe an extra set of wheels, because I think a lot of the parts that were deleted out of this, I believe, are thrown in that kit. So they didn't block off any of the stuff. But this one, they only give you the parts for this version in this kit. But we'll get into the next ones. All right, here is the second release from Lindberg here of the Ram Chargers 64 Dodge 330 Super Stock.
Yeah.
You can see right on the box they put new 426 Hemi, grill, hood scoop, and bucket seats. So there she is. And the Color Me Gone had the bench seat in it. So we'll kind of look this one over here. Authentic team decals, Lindberg, and all this on the bottom. So nice artwork, all kinds of different languages here, but you know, pretty much the same stuff. Again, issued in 1996, made in USA, Ram Chargers trademark, Chrysler Corporation. So all of that.
Cool.
So we'll get into this one. Now this one,
how does it open like that?
That's the way they designed these boxes. So here's one of my windows where windshield is missing, but here's another one where you can see what was happening to the windshields. So you can see the crack right there. That's one with a minor crack in it. So hopefully I got another windshield in this one, because this one may not have been cracked, but eventually cracked. That might have been my replacement. Let's look at the rest here. There's the same front and rear drag tires. Here's the chrome tree. The rear bumper has fallen off. But here's the front, and here's the grille with no headlights in it. Then the rear wheels. All the rest of the stuff is still there. You know, the gauges and all this stuff. Those are the race air cleaners. And then we've got, here's the really cool Ram Chargers decals with 63 stock eliminator on the side here. All kinds of good stuff on these. Now this one I particularly like. Made it real easy. You can put the stripes on there. They've yellowed a little bit, but you know, hopefully my other set's just as good. Here's the instructions that say super stock. And all the stuff that's in here. Pretty easy to follow. But again, haven't built any of these.
Huh?
Yep, I haven't built any of them.
Wow. You need to build a couple.
Yep.
And it's not a joke. You have to.
Well, that's part of it, was reading the books and finding the information that I didn't know and learning more about them. That's what gets me more motivated to build some of these. So I'll put the chrome and the wheels back in this one. I don't see a windshield, but I got plenty of these. This bag looks like it's still factory sealed, so it hasn't been opened. So let's unwrap it, untwist it. That's a big bag.
And undestroy it.
Nope.
Just destroy the bag already.
All right. Oh, here's a windshield. So I did have a windshield shoved in here.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's an unbroken windshield.
Nice.
Okay, which is what I've been doing, is finding the safest places inside the body here. Which this body got squished. Look at that.
Oh.
And that's broken.
Oh.
Broken.
I think you need a new one.
Well, I'll tell some of my plans here. This body is really warped. Anyway, we've got the same interior and door panels. So all that's the same. Same chassis plate. Oh, different set of headers. Same rear seat and same thing, but this one has the Hemi engine, so that would make sense why it has different headers. Let's see, there's the Hemi hood scoop. The cross ram. That doesn't look any different. Maybe it is different, maybe not. Oil pan, belts, distributor, air cleaners,
Ryan?
starter.
Huh?
Yeah.
How does it have, like, everything?
Well, sometimes they leave some of the stuff in here, or you reuse them. A lot of the parts are reusable. Here's the engine and tranny, automatic tranny. Didn't pay attention to if that one was an automatic or manual. Should probably take a quick look. But here's the Hemi heads. So those were changed. It's funny. I like the fact that it has the automatic in here, because these cars, they were kicking butts with the automatics. They really were. But the 4-speed cars, you know, were much more competition in the 4-speed cars from Chrysler. Not from Chrysler. Chrysler's, you know, 4-speed was really decent. But Chevy's 4-speed and Ford's 4-speeds, they were good. But the automatics, they just sucked. The Thunderbolts came out in '64. They were kicking some serious butt with the 4-speeds. Matter of fact, most of those racers that got automatic Thunderbolts.
Speaking of racer, I am a racer.
Yes, and the Thunderbolts that were automatics, a lot of them got converted to manuals. This doesn't appear to have changed at all. So all those parts look the same. Here's the dash, the brakes and wheel parts, rear panel. So none of that's changed. And here's the bucket seats. So those are in there.
What's a bucket seat?
Right here. These lightweight bucket seats. And then the hood. This hood isn't falling off. But it's got sink marks in the middle of it. That's kind of funny.
Huh?
But I'll have to see what shape some of my other parts are in. But this, turn that way.
Okay.
And we'll get all this stuff back in the box and we'll move on to the next one.
Yay.
And here we are dipping into the last version of this kit. This was issued in 1997. And they went with the yellow and the shading like you saw in some of the later variant boxes, like the Ram Chargers, the later issue by J. Lloyd. Not sure I'm saying that right, but that's what it says on the box. Had this on those boxes as well. But this one went with the newer Lindberg logo, even though it was issued 1 year later, and the different shading on the box. So pretty cool, but still had the Chrysler Pentastar trademark. And then it says Made in USA, copyright 1997 by Craft House. So not much has changed. as far as the box art goes. And the kit's pretty much the same thing. Not much has changed. We'll dive into this one. So since the instructions are right on top, so here we go. And then the Maverick decals, which being that this car is yellow and black, the yellowing on this probably wouldn't make too much difference. You can kind of see a little bit of a white background to the letters. That might be an issue. But who knows? I haven't decided, if I'm going to build this particular kit or what the story is. I haven't researched this particular car, but the rest of it, yeah, pretty much. This one's got a good body, and another one with the tires are bagged up. And here's one where the windshield's still on a tree and not broken. I've got a few that way, but that does quite happen. So here's one of the differences in this kit. It's got 4 plain steel wheels on it instead of the 2 fronts that the other ones have. The air cleaners and then all the rest of these parts are all pretty much the same, but it has the Hemi version grille with no headlights in it. So you don't get the choice in any of these. It's one or the other. So if you got a specific one you're looking for, keep that in mind. Now the later issues may be a little bit different in that respect. So again, I really don't have any of the later issues. Same body, so this is not changed at all. It's a little funky right here as far as the taper and the shine. So it seems a little sunken in, but again, haven't built any of these. And let's open this one up. This one definitely hasn't been opened. Some of them have, some of them haven't. Played with some of them a little bit, but that's just, because I have so many of them. I'll get into that more at the end here. So let's get this. And this bag opens from which side? Right here. Okay. What do we got falling off over here? Okay, that's just a piece of sprue, so don't need to worry about that. I'm kind of keeping these in a certain order because they fold a certain way. So here we've got the same tree here, same interior tree and door panels. Same chassis. All right. Hemi headers, rear seat, and all that, so nothing's changed there. Here we've got the Max Wedge hood scoop, not the Hemi scoop. So that was put back in this one or switched back out. Everything else is the same. All right, and here we got the Hemi automatic, Hemi heads. Parachute. I don't remember a parachute being in the Ram Chargers one. I may have to check that again. But I did go back and look in the Color Me Gone kit. It's automatic. So all of these have the automatics in it. So pretty happy to see that they're all automatics. Because that's what the Max Wedge was known for tearing them up, was the automatics. That hasn't changed. Got the Dana. This whole tree is warped, but hopefully the parts are good. Don't see anything new or different in there. So other than changing out the hood scoop. Here we got locating pins and that. So, okay, got some sink marks in that. So if you want to do a flat hood, you definitely got to fill those in. But the bucket seats. So there we go. Not much different in this one. Has all the same stuff as some of the other ones, other than the hood scoop being changed out and the wheels being changed out. So there are some different variants of all these kits. But we'll get this one packaged up, and then I'll do a quick summary. All right, well, in summary, that pretty much covers all the differences in the kits here. Both of these are Hemi cars. That's a Max Wedge car. Bench seat, bucket seats in these, but the Max Wedge hood scoop at Hemi grill and hood scoop. Steel wheels and front mag wheels on these two versions. So quick summary on some of that stuff there. And why do I have so many of them? Well, for a while, these things were easy to find and cheap. And that was back many years ago, but I never built any of them. But I wanted to build all of the Max Wedge street cars. And I liked them with the hood scoops, but I didn't realize the hood scoops were the lightweight package cars only, and that the street cars didn't come with them. But you could if you were a racer with the right connections order one of these cars, full lightweight package, everything. It was, available to drive it on the street. The Hemi race cars, I believe you could drive those on the street as well, but they're much harder to get as they came out later in the year, and they came out when the Thunderbolts were kicking so much butt, and Chrysler needed to do something. They knew they needed to do a little bit more, but they were, they developed that engine for NASCAR and racing in that, and thought, well, maybe it'll work real well as a drag package car too, and it did. It gave up some torque, but for more horsepower down at the end of the track. It got its reputation for that. And then shortly after that, the Hemi's dominance as it continued on, and where Chrysler's racing went, sealed the deal, and the Max Wedge engines were almost forgotten, but not really. So I wanted to build two 62 413 cars, a Plymouth and a Dodge. And I've got resin bodies, kits from MCW that made years ago. Not sure if they're still available, but here's pictures of those. And I wanted to do them, and they come pretty complete. I also wanted to do the 63 Max Wedge cars. Now MCW as well also offered those kits back in the day, and it said you needed these kits for donors. So that's why some of them are marked resin body donor, and that's why some of these that have messed up bodies, I'm not really too concerned about it. At least I saw one right away, and I think another one in there is kind of messed up. And now I've got pretty much all of them have good windshields now, but some of them are cracked. But I wasn't sure about the windshields, but I kept them pretty intact. But I've only got 3 of the Max Wedge. Now, some of the issues I was running into that prevented me from building some of those is they don't have any of the actual signature Max Wedge exhaust, but the chassis don't have the exhaust molded in. The Johan kits, which is what the MCW kits are based off of, if they had a chassis, it had the molded in Johan exhaust. And I didn't want to, use any of that. None of these have the factory Max Wedge exhaust manifolds, which are unique to 62, 63, and 64. 64 ones are definitely different, but now some people are 3D printing and resin casting those. 413 Max Wedges don't really look any different, but the decals are different. And the exhaust systems that those had with the cutouts and the crossovers and some of that stuff, really cool exhaust systems, but really weren't available in scale for a while, up until some of the more recent kits from Mobius. I believe the 64 Plymouth has the exhaust in it. A lot of the Coronets have the exhaust in it, and it's even an extra part in the AFX ones. So now I've got extra exhaust systems, which is really cool. Another reason why I kind of started looking at what do I have and what do I don't have, and dug some of these kits out. And reading that book, that really helped quite a bit as far as sharing what the race cars had, and reading more about the high performance cars, available to anybody. If you wanted to order the Max Wedge engine, the only thing that wasn't available was you couldn't get the Max Wedge engine in a wagon. Doesn't mean people didn't transplant them and race them. The racers did do that, put some Hemis in some of the wagons and race them. To me, love wagons. They're just cool, but no factory race wagons from Chrysler. So, but cool stuff. I don't know much about this Maverick car. I read a little bit about the Ram Chargers and the Color Me Gone private car, team car. But, definitely wanted to do this one, especially back on, when I got this kit. But knowing what I know now, it's a lot of different tweaks and whatnot. But, I'll get to these eventually. But that's why I have them all, and I've collected all these parts and those resin kits. Had them many times. Not sure if they're still available, but shared them with you as well. So you guys, just wanted to get the deep dive into this one, so you guys get some more information on what's out there. And especially for your Mopar guys, you can probably eat this up. So thanks for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments and shares and likes. I really do appreciate it, you guys. You have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.